Hello, it's time for my daily reading for Taurus. Today's mystery person drawing drew the Taurus. We only had to wait 7 days into the Taurus season, but it finally happened. So everyone who's listening, who happens to have some Taurus in their astrology, whether their sun or their moon or even the rising, this message is for you. Or if you're just feeling grounded as fuck right now and, you've got that Taurus energy, this message is also for you. But let's see what the message will bring. The Intuit Answers Within is my first card. This is telling me that for the intuitive Taurus out there, and for the non-intuitive Taurus out there who isn't yet in touch with their intuition, just a reminder that all the answers you need are within. You don't have to find channels like this one or anywhere else. You can find the answers to who you are and what your purpose is within yourself. And you can also find those things through human design. That's probably my big talking topic this month, if not really forever, until I see something quite as solid as that. But yeah, please listen to your inner guides, listen to your body. One thing you do learn in human design is that when you're listening to your talking mind, your that thing that's racing all the time, that you think of as your rational mind, your brain, whatever, when you're listening to that and you're not listening to your body, you are going against what you should be doing. So a big part of human design is really just learning what your authority is and how to listen to it. For me, mine is my solar plexus, which is my emotional side. And when I ignore my emotional side and I do an activity that I don't want to do in that particular moment, even though maybe I loved it a different week or different time, it rarely goes well, right? I mean, I'm not saying I don't suck it up and try to make the best of it. If I choose to go against my own emotions and do something, I do try to have the best. But it's kind of like in the back of my mind, I'm realizing the whole time, like I'm really forcing myself to keep my frequency as high as I can while I'm doing something that just doesn't feel right. Or maybe I just had something better I could have done that would have been more right with myself emotionally during that time. So, that's why it's so important to listen to your body, listen to your intuition, figure out what your authority is, and address your authority all the time whenever you have to make a decision, especially about something that's different or unique or not something that you normally do. I know sometimes Taurus can be so grounded that they're not necessarily looking into their intuition as much. And I would say that's a missed opportunity, right? So you want to be able to listen to those inner voices. And if you're ignoring them now, and maybe you're just not tuning in yet, just know that you can, and that option is there. Smile with your heart. I mean, you should be smiling. It's your birthday month. If you're one of the actual sun astrology Taurus, right? So, but yeah, I think it's important to be authentic and smile only when you feel like smiling. Not when someone asks you to, and not when you're trying to pretend to be happy but you're not. And this goes back to listening to your emotions or whatever your authority is, and only doing things that bring you either peace, success, contentment, satisfaction, also things you can figure out in your human design, which ones matter to you. You've got that bull energy and you're ready to take charge like a Taurus. I have a suggested topic you can get angry about right now. It's a pretty hot topic. If you're on TikTok or Instagram and YouTube or anywhere else, you're probably seeing a lot of this topic because it is really coming out. Things we thought were sacred, things that we thought weren't happening to so many of us, are happening to so many of us. And we can either be part of the movement that changes the future for females on this earth, or we can sit back and do nothing. And we know what sitting back and doing nothing did, right? We've lost rights that our grandmothers had. In 1920, they fought so hard for women to be able to vote. And, there's always been talk that the only reason they did is because the men assumed they'd have one extra vote, right? And then when suddenly we're not necessarily voting the way they want us to vote, then suddenly they're going to make it really tricky to vote. In other words, if you change your name, which of course only really happens to one gender and a few vice presidents. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a war against women, and anyone who says otherwise is not paying attention. And you can blind your eyes to it, but it's happening. So, I think if you are going to use your Taurus energy for anything this month, this year, this is a great focus for you. But not in a way, and I want to specify this, because my art is all about inspiration. It all came to me in an inspirational way, in a fasting state, trying to meditate, trying to just totally flow, throw things on paper, no idea what was coming until it came out. But how does this play into inspiration, you ask? Well, for the longest time I resisted even including my angrier cards in the deck. But then I realized anger was love, and doing nothing is not love. It's the opposite of love. Apathy is the opposite of love. Hate is not even the opposite of love. Apathy is doing nothing, and doing nothing for your people is not an act of love. So for me, it's impossible to be inspirational in 2026 and to talk about anything without addressing the elephant in the room, which is the obvious thing that is happening everywhere around us right now. So, yeah, that's why the card is here. It reminds us that we're not going to sit by and let our daughters and our granddaughters and ourselves and our peers and other women continue to be treated the way that they've been treated. We are not objects. We are actual human beings who have just as many rights as everybody else does. And to me, I'm taking Confucius to a different level. K2 say we do see evil, we do hear evil, and we do speak about the evil. And not doing so has led us to this situation where we're in. If you believe you're the only person who's being abused by someone, you think it's somehow your fault, you hold that shame and that secrecy for that perpetrator. And it is not your responsibility to hold anybody else's shame. And to keep it inside, right? And a lot of the times we do because of fear. A lot of times we do because we know that we'll be turned into victims again and again and again if we speak. And I'm telling you, that system is bull, and we got to overthrow it. And if that means every single one of us getting a passport, and making sure that we vote this year, those who cannot, and then we speak very loudly and clearly that half of every government position and more of the rule makers become represented by us, regardless of party, then I think we're going to see more of the changes that we need to see. But it's kind of ridiculous how many unprocessed grape kits are sitting out in the universe right now. When you think you've done everything, recorded the information, and you're ready to take it to a next level, and then they never process these kits. It's kind of amazing. The more you know, right? So I'm going the opposite of Confucius, and I'm saying, don't do any evil. Don't hang out and listen to people that are doing evil, and don't hang out and speak with people who are doing evil, but watch for it everywhere and report it. Don't just cover your eyes and ears and mouth and, sit in an empty room and do nothing, because that's not going to get us anywhere. And that's not the Taurus way anyway. They're clear, they're direct communicators, they're a little bit stubborn, but when they take charge, they really do. And I think this is a great opportunity for some Taurus energy in an area that really matters around the world right now. We're not even just talking in our town or our city or even our country. This is a worldwide problem. Don't fear the unknown. Fear is what keeps our frequency in a place where it becomes valuable to the enemy and not to ourselves. Fear is what's holding so many of us back. Oh, fear makes me so angry when I see it in people still, because once I lived in so much fear of so many things. I was obsessed with the news. I needed to know what was going on all the time. I felt like if I had a plan, if I was prepared, if I was knowledgeable of everything that was going on, I could be more prepared about everything that was going on. And, I was constantly following at least like what the lead news stories were, which of course, not through, any of the major media channels anymore, because they're ridiculous. When you compare them to independent news sources, you find that they're not really even reporting anything. So I wasn't following regular media anymore. I'd at least progressed to independent news sources, but in order for them to get the attention that they need to get, they have to put these really alarming and exciting titles into their videos as well. And it's very misleading, and it just leads to a lot of fear and anxiety. And anything that leads to fear and anxiety, I kind of stand against at this point. So over time, my algorithm started changing from, instead of worrying and listening to anything negative, I'm only listening to positive information. And if anybody knows who Bashar is, Bashar is a higher galactic being who channels through, I believe his last name, I want to say Daryl Anka, but don't quote me on this. But yeah, this has been going on for 40 years. And of course, I just only recently became aware of it because my former algorithm was very much fear-based media about what is going on in the world. But now I start listening to folks like Bashar, and Bashar has some wisdom and guidance, for us on the galactic level, which it's a lot more positive messaging, I believe, and it's what really matters, because, when we're hyper-focused on all these little wars they're creating around Earth, we're not focused on our spirituality. And it's almost like impossible to separate our spirituality from the higher dimensions, weirdly enough, because true interdimensional travel is not done through a weird spaceship. It's done through your subconscious. So, the whole thing is connected. Some people struggle at the very beginning of, being able to believe in something like Bashar requires you to believe in reincarnation. It requires you to believe that there could be multiple versions of yourself, but you still have a soul. It requires you to believe in this infinity concept. I know this is far-fetched for a lot of people. Probably for a lot of very grounded Taurus, it might be very far-fetched. But if you knew that it was your fear, that an energy that kept the dark forces going, and that just 144,000 awakened souls is more valuable than 8 billion negative souls. I believe those were kind of the numbers Bashar gave, but I don't want to misrepresent it. But basically, the high vibrations, especially in this collective way, far outweigh the low vibrations, because they are united. They are united in a love, unconditional love, and humanity, and the improvement of humanity for all mankind. So you might think like your energy level doesn't matter, but it totally does. And positive energy outweighs negative energy by quite a landslide. So it's really about letting go of the fear. Once you let go of the fear, you can go on this kind of campaign. It doesn't have to be, rage and punitive. You can go about it with love, but there needs to be change, right? There needs to be reform and change. I actually wrote a crazy book about this. I never published it, never did anything with it. I talked about it with tons of people alive and dead today. Somehow a lot of it just kind of creeps into the actual world. I'm not sure why and how, but that's what kind of made me believe in other versions of myself and people being on the other side after they had passed, because I don't know, these ideas, they manifest themselves. And you may think you're unimportant and the things that you're manifesting for the greater world are unimportant, but they're real, and you put them out there and they start to happen and changes start to happen. So don't doubt it. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your role in this. I mean, we are all worthy. We all have our own uniqueness about us, and we're all valuable, and we're all loved unconditionally on the other side, right? So we have a lot to look forward to and a lot to be positive about, and when we focus on that, it really changes everything. And I'm just going to draw one more card for the birthday Taurus. Stuck together, so I'm going to give you both. They're both great. You can have the world, letting go of fear. You can manifest, whatever you want to change for this world. We can create a better world for women. We can do whatever we need to do and make it happen. And this just reminds us of the fresh start that we have, and that whenever we see these numbers, 111, 444, 555, 333, 222, it doesn't matter which ones, hopefully we see all of them all day long. As we start to see more and more of these, we're reminded of that we have angels out there that are helping us and giving us guidance. So the first thing I like to do when I see those numbers is sort of just give thanks, right? Because all these times when I thought I was alone, I really wasn't alone. And all the times that I was struggling, I wasn't. I didn't need to be struggling. And that, again, is such a vibration changer right there, when you realize that past times of suffering were unnecessary because so many people were there loving you and looking out for you. And I hope that you get that if you get nothing else from this message today, Taurus, I hope that you get that there is more. Even though it's great to be grounded and it's great to be a realist, there is more than what we can see. And there's a reason why when you listen to your rational mind, you kind of overlook the big picture. So sometimes it's time for Taurus to set aside the rational mind and think intuitively and just listen to themselves and their body. And you will find that there is a lot more to this than the practical day-to-day. Well, thank you, folks. I love you. You're loved everywhere. On the other side, just remember there's a positive future awaiting all of us. Love you.